So now that we've seen how you can create a table in a database and how you can create different columns using column definitions and apply constraints on those columns, I think it's about time that we should start looking at some of the statements, some of the SQL statements which can help you retrieve information from those tables. Now, in order to follow through with this tutorial, what you can do is that you can install, you can download a database, and this is the database which we are going to be using uh, for the rest of our videos, especially when I'll be showing you the select statements and all those kind of things. So it's called Chinook database. You can download it from this website. So the address is chinookdatabase.codeplex.com, and then you can download from this link. And once you've downloaded, it will download a zip folder on your computer, and you can extract that zip folder, and what you'll have is a link, is a script, and that script is called Chinook_SQL server, and you can run this script in your database, in your SQL Server Management Studio, and it will create a new database. You can see the new database over here, Chinook, and what you can also see is that it has already created some of the tables, and these tables are populated with some information, some rows, some column values, and so on and so forth. And this will help us to query these tables. So I think it's a better approach rather than creating your own database and creating your own tables and then populating them with the data. I think it's a much quicker approach to download Chinook database and create this database, so you can follow through with this tutorial and use some of the select statements or retrieving or statements which can be used for retrieval. The other thing which I've done is that I've downloaded and installed SQL Server Management Studio. In the previous videos, I was using Visual Studio 2013 Community Edition to write some SQL queries, but SQL Server Management Studio is something which is used more in enterprise environments, so it's better to use them and use this Management Studio and get used to of the environment. So let's start from the very basic select query. Now, select statements can be used to retrieve information or retrieve data from a table or views. We'll discuss views in the next in some next videos, in some later videos, but we've got some tables over here. So these tables are already populated with some data, and we can use a select statement to retrieve information. So let's start from the very basic select statement. So it starts with select. In fact, let me first select the database. So it's a Chinook database. So that just implies that I want to use a Chinook database. Otherwise, I mean, the default value was master, and if I selected master, there's a master database, and that means that I'm going to select from one of the tables or views from master database, but we wanted to select to query from one of the tables from within our Chinook database. So I'll have to select Chinook so that this select query will execute on Chinook database. So I can write select, and star implies that we are interested in all the columns of the table or view, and then you can specify from and the table name in which you are interested. So let's say I want to query from employee table, so I can say employee. So that means that get me all the rows from employee table, and this star means that not only that I'm interested in all the column values and all the not only this now implies that not only that I'm interested in all the rows or records, but I'm also interested in all the uh, columns or fields. So let me execute it and show it to you how it works. I'll select it and I'll execute. And here we can see that we've retrieved all the rows, all the records for employees which have been saved early on in this table. And we can also see all the columns. So first name, last name, and birth date, hire date, address, and all these details. So that was the first thing which I wanted to show you. Now in the previous video, you can recall that we were still able to see the information. We were trying to enter the information manually, and then we were able to see that information. But that was a manual process. And because these tutorials, these list of tutorials are about SQL, so you want to know what SQL statement can be used to retrieve this information. And if you are going to create an application on top of on top of this database, that application is going to communicate to this database via this select statement. So it's important to know some of these select statements. Now, I've already selected all the data, and this is now retrieving all the information from each of these columns, but I can be a bit selective about these columns. So let's say I'm not interested in all the columns. I just want to know information about all the employees, but I'm only interested in first name, last name, and let's say hire date. So I can basically, instead of star, so we were using star, instead of the star, what we can do is we can say, okay, last name, I'm interested in last name, so give me only last name, comma, first name, because we are only interested in last name and first name, and then hire date. So we can do that, and if I select this select statement and execute it again, now we can see information about all the employees, but we can only see last name, first name, and hire date. So that's it. I would like to cover some other features of this select statement, but I'll continue on in the next video.